It would help if I wasn't muted. Anyways, we have upgrades. As you can see, we have a comfy outfit now. I have that new plugin that lets me toggle. Hey, what's VIP for? You don't get to know because you're a mod. It's the fancy diamond badge. Too bad you cannot have it. You can't have mod and VIP. But I got a plugin that lets me toggle my face expressions without, you know. So I can go, oh, now it's not working. Ah. Wait, you say you're authenticated. Why aren't you working? There's blush. Why is Angie not working? There we go. We're just gonna. Grr. But now I can toggle my expressions without having to reach over and hit my stream deck. Because Tanner. But there's the blush. Hard eyes. What do you mean I suck? What, I'm basically half the friend group at this point? I'm sorry. I have been in VC with the girly pops. I'm gonna hop in my server's VC. Girls over the OG. Listen, we talk about girl stuff. We talk about the girlies. We're also talking about a lot of Spirit Veil stuff when I do that, so. Ah. Yeah, why is our ghost? Hi, nice. I have a game downloading, but I'll hop in, I promise. That's fine. How is you, nice? Cassie will hop in a little bit too, so. Sable, what the heck? Let me turn on bingo for y'all. No, I knew Zeph was gonna do that. Cassie. No, you weren't, motherfucker. I love that I made that. So you and Zeph can argue about first. Scuff, because I scuffed. Sound redeem. You replace the sound. But how is everybody? We got upgrades. See, this is why I'm first to 10 stream streak. Holy shit, Tanner. Tanner does not miss anything in this household. But here's the full comfy outfit. This was a meme of fucking Jess from Spirit Veil. There's my chatting button. I don't know why I hit that one. I'm gonna have to do it again. Okay, I'm already on that scene. Why did I hit that? Here is the maid. Oh god. Yeah, I go to a child for a second. You guys have seen the maid before. Tanner's favorite is next. Ta-da! The grippers are out on this one. But I got the bikini outfit set back up. And Mochi's favorite, the bunny. So we're going back to comfy. But Jess in SV was like, I was like, I don't know what I want to put on the shirt. And then Jess was like, send feet pics. And I was like, you know what? I got an idea. I'll do it for the bit. So now, chat, look into my eyes. I am never beating the foot allegations. I like how when I zoom in really close, Cassie is the only thing that's above me. Here. We're gonna... Man, what do you mean, man? There we go. We put Cassie down there. So now I can just... What's the VIP thing? Wouldn't you like to know, other man? Basically, it's a fancy badge. I am never beating the foot allegations. NK, don't play with me. You can't have it because you're a mod. Mods cannot have... That's the only reason. Well, fuck me then. Exactly, that's why I said, wouldn't you like to know, other man? You don't get to know. That's my money and my bitch. That's a check. My badge is better anyways. Yeah. Alright, let's get to the DBD. Give people what they're here for. Because it sure as heck ain't me. Oh god. Oh, it's at 6 points. We're gonna go back and we're gonna do Survivor. Because I don't feel like waiting in queues. Also, I got the new...
Very familiar.
I got the new Sable skin. I think... Been here long... through 3... No, you've been here through 2. You just been here through 3 usernames. Because you've been here since my old account, which I renamed from Lunar Dust to Vexy. God, I can't even say Vixie. And then I got stalked and I had to move to this account. Which, y'all want to hear some bullshit? Y'all want to hear some fucking tea? That motherfucker that stalks me left his own group because he was upset sketty because he got called out. Saw different names and thought, no, you're fine.
Going well. Got you too.
I can't spin. Can't spin. Yeah, no. I quite literally was like I changed my name. Why my server is gone. I never deleted the old server, Tanner. The OG server that I think you joined in, I had to delete because bots. I got hate rated and somebody put a message logger bot and for everybody's safety I remade it. That's the OG server. I don't know if you were... Certain server disappeared on my folder. Oh, maybe. I don't know. I'm not in that server anymore. I got banned out of there after I left, so I wouldn't know anyways. Well, neither am I. Hey, I spawned right in front of the gas pump. Reunited. Huh? just gonna disappear. I had questions. Yeah, I only heard about it through a friend of a friend. Go away, buddy. You know what? Fuck that person. Yeah, fuck that person. Without naming names. So we don't want to start drama. Am I being chased? Is it me he's chasing? It is me he's chasing. Fuck. Go away, Mr. Clown. I don't want to be touched. I don't want to be touched. I don't want to be touched. Lurking? Who's ever heard of her? Hehe. I tried. He stepped back. Go. No. Oh, it's the ugly clown, too. No. Ouchie. Hi, Nancy. Can I get Heelys? Nope. No, Mr. Clown. No tunnel. D20. You rolled a 12. Hell yeah. I don't think that was enough to pass your perception check, though. Yay, I'm getting Heelys. Fuck that 12. Ada. Ada, fuck. Fuck, dude. What the fuck, Ada? I know there's a blood gen near here. 17 on my account. Oh. You got a 17 on your ACT, Tanner. My dude. Do we need to talk about this? Oh no. Please don't see me, Mr. Clown. I was hoping. No, I guessed it. I'm going trade. Tanner! You didn't study? My dude. Why didn't you study? The 600 classes to worry about. You realize the ACT covers all of your classes, right? And sports. Don't you have to maintain a specific GPA for sports? I had to. Tiff, I need you to move your tail. Go away, Mr. Clown. He's coming this way. Go away, Clowny. English, reading, and math? That's still your core classes. They removed your best portion. Hope I'm dead. Damn. Anyways, Tanner. What the hell? What was your best portion? History? I need to know for science. Science portion that went bye-bye. They took away the science portion of the ACT? What? When I took it, it was like a STEM, like science, tech, engineering, math. It's optional now. What the fuck? You're sitting there telling me that I did not have to take that part of the ACT. I could have just waited a few years. I could have, like, been like, hey, please. Basically, what? That's bullshit. I want a refund. That was my lowest section. Alright, let's queue back up for another one. You must live forever. Use it as a cure, but it don't ever make us better. On the pre-ACT, oh my god, that was my lowest. I think I got like a 27 like overall, and then I had like a 36 on the reading comprehension part, and then on the English too. And the rest were like 23, so somehow that balanced out to 27. Fucking need. Wow. Wow. I am not a fucking nerd. Get wrecked. Get fricked. I am an anime girl on the internet. And I liked fantasy books as a kid. I've been so fucking tired today. I miss being able to spin.
Fucking nerd.
You're a fucking nerd, Tanner.
Oh, what the hell?
What do you mean, what the hell?
Wow.
Wow, there's Cass.
There's no such thing.
Wait, can stream hear us?
Yes.
Hello! I'm gonna be annoying.
Well, if you give me a second, I actually cannot hear you on the thing.
He can't hear us.
That sounds like nerd behavior.
That does
Tanner's
sound like
a nerd.
Tanner's a nerd.
Get wrecked, buddy.
I alt tabbed out and I tabbed back in and I could spin for a second. I got my spinnies.
Let's go.
Cassie, did you see the other outfits?
Just a t-shirt. Hold on. I just came back to my PC.
Put them in asset
Dinner
dump.
was ready. Okay, let me see.
We got a bikini again.
Wait, where?
Asset dump and
Okay.
internals.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
a retard.
Yay.
I mean a dum-dum. I mean you're nerd, so.
Yeah, you're a nerd. Get fricked.
No, I definitely am. I had my volume muted on the laptop, and I forgot that. And I got cooked.
Get wrecked.
What a nerd.
That's nerd behavior.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna hop on
Big nerd
DVD with
behavior.
y'all, but y'all are making me want to hop on 2K. I was gonna be nice.
Okay,
Wow.
bye.
Wow. Tanner don't love us. You heard it first here,
Okay.
chat.
I'm hopping on. Chill, man. I just bought the 2K. I wanted to play it. Calm it
Wing.
down.
What's the killer that yells? Oh, it's Chucky.
Yuck. The flying ducky.
Well, please don't come after me, Chucky. I have a gas can. I just want to
He
be.
gonna do it.
He definitely. Rebecca is AFK.
And like none of the killers go after the AFK players. It makes me so mad.
Who would have ever thought a laptop could run fucking Dead by Daylight on max graphics?
Maybe not do that.
I feel like
If $1,600 laptop.
I mean,
What's
Mega plays DBD on a laptop. It would not surprise me.
Oh.
I have an Intel Core i9, bro.
Oh damn.
Yeah, you should be fine then.
Oh shit. Zeph scared me and I missed a skill check.
I mean, I played Marvel Rivals on it with max graphics, and it doesn't seem to bother me any. So.
Marble Wibbles.
What I'm hearing is potentially Marvel Rivals.
We have a team. Yeah.
I said that the other night. We don't need Zeph for a team.
Mm-mm.
I'll be on tomorrow anyway, cause I'm fucking coughing up a lung today, man.
What I'm hearing is Marvel Rivals stream tomorrow.
Marble
If you
Wibbles.
want to, yeah.
Yay! Time to make Tanner learn all the comps to my favorite
The meta.
Well,
characters.
I
Make-
can actually play competitive with y'all. I can't learn comp lineups because I can't play it with my friend because she's on fucking PlayStation. So.
Sadness.
Well, I mean, like, how Strange is a good team up for Wanda. Time to make Tanner play Strange.
Okay, alright. Maybe play the one guy I used to main I never liked.
Hehe.
I'd rather play Hulk, man.
Well, when they give Hulk and Wanda a team up, you can play Hulk.
Bro, I went to go watch a baseball game. I couldn't even play it. That was some bullshit.
Oh my goodness, please don't come after me, Chucky.
Yeah, I just muted your stream, Loki. I can't lie to you.
Hey, if you mute the
It was way
tab,
behind.
not... Yeah, if you mute the tab, not the player, it'll work.
Yeah, watching you on my phone, so I just muted the whole stream.
Oh, shit.
I mean, I'm still watching it though.
I think
wanted to know
mobile-
what the VIP thing was for, because I was about to redeem it, and then I'm like, if it's just gonna give me a stupid ass badge I can't even use, what's the point?
It's, one of those things of, it's a badge. Cassie's got the badge.
Cassie, you were no, you weren't. Stop trying to take my first, man. God.
Oh god, I will hydrate. Let me pop in a locker.
Oh my god, all the cans.
Yeah.
I'm about to throw Cassie over a bridge. Taking my first like that. Stop doing that. No, I'm kidding.
I mean,
What
to
is
be
the fun
fair,
event even a game?
I don't even know. Tanner is abuse. Oh my gosh.
You're in the Discord server. You could have just said that. Gigalicious.
But,
Man, no.
drop it. How am I supposed to drop? Oh, okay. That works, Cassie.
Oh,
Also-
do I even have you up here?
Did you have to make a different account for?
No, because you met me. I just watched your stream after my PC was broke. I couldn't play with you. That's why.
Oh. Cassie muted because she munchin'. Oh, the Rebecca is a bot.
Yeah, bro, my head is throbbing right now. Okay. I'm definitely still gonna play the game though. You know that for a fact.
Hehe. I didn't know I could drop the blood can. Go away, Chucky.
Honestly, neither did I.
Worth it. Worth it, because I have not been hooked yet.
Oh yeah, on my birthday, when I go around any of my friends, I'm gonna have a fake walking cane and I'm gonna bend over like my back hurts.
Hey. Shit.
older than both of you.
You are older than both of us.
Okay, alright now. My knees hurt like they were born in the 1970s, okay? Calm it down.
Hey,
They sound ancient.
I'm only 25, and I have the back of an old woman. Oh, fuck.
I think my knees were born like 20 years before I was.
You know what? I feel that. Brother, why are these hooks so close together?
God, we'll be old, man.
I'm trying to heal like a fucking hangnail. This Rebecca wants to heal me.
I'm finna go get my license on my birthday. I'm probably finna go get a tattoo too if I have the money for it.
Hell yeah.
Even though my school is stupid, if I get a tattoo, I have to cover it up, which is gonna be dumb as shit.
I'm just walking the bot around.
Yeah, I see such.
Let's see. Come on, give me Hatch. Also, this is the Walking Dead map.
Yes.
This is my first time playing on it.
Really?
It's very
Really?
small.
Yeah, it feels small. It feels very small. That's what she said.
Hee
Hee.
DBD bingo. Oh no, streamer bingo and DBD bingo. Bingo.
I mean, it just streamer bingo, but it's still there. Hi, Chucky. Oh, fuck. How did you find me?
Probably friends to the end.
Maybe. I'm abandoning. I'm not giving him the satisfaction.
Hell no. Get heck.
I just wanted Hatch. Why do I still have an inbox message?
It did that to me too.
Oh. Should I add you on Steam or add you on?
Steam probably.
Oh yeah, because to get in Marvel Rival.
Yeah, well, Marvel
Marvel
Rivals
Rivals.
has its own friend system.
Oh yeah, that's all stupid, man.
But still.
You want to just share your friend code in the personal chat, or yeah, that'd make more sense. It'd make it a lot easier. Up to you, though,
it's on
man.
stream. If
it is?
anybody's, yeah, because I don't have the latest sub up there anymore.
Well, your stream, yeah, what? Bro, I can't see that. You got a little thing jiggling in the wind over there. You gotta...
It's a little star.
And I'm legally blind.
I animated this shit myself.
Hold on.
Hang on, Tanner. I'm finding our DMs. There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you. This Tanner.
I was being nice, man. Thank you. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, screenshot.
Yeah, because I don't know how to copy that shit.
Jesus Christ.
Remember, I'm an old lady. I don't know how to do things.
You ain't that old.
See, finally you admit I'm not old.
I'm going to smack you. Not
Hee
generally, because I don't hit people. I don't hit women. Not anymore.
Hee. Not no more. What the fuck?
I'm joking. Please take that as a joke.
I know. That's why I was like, what the fuck?
Now, if I wanted to... There's been a couple... What?
You need to leave.
No. No, thank you.
You leave.
Did it go through?
No.
No.
Well, I just sent it, bro.
Well,
I'm not doing it on DVD. I'm not...
I see no requests.
Oh my god.
Wait, did you send it on Steam?
Yes.
Oh, fuck, dude.
I told you I didn't do it on DVD.
Oh, I
Just
thought you
roll
wanted
them.
the DVD. Or I
I
could.
still saw your thing. It's obvious by the picture. And it tells you you're in Dead by Daylight. See.
See, I try.
Bruh.
Oh,
This is
fuck.
just one second.
I may have to
It's
back out of the lobby and go back in.
no, I can join you.
Oh, Cassie just left the lobby.
Invitation cannot be accepted. What the hell?
Let me see.
Of course, this
Tanner's
game's going
first.
like this.
Tanner is in fact first.
Girl, cover your mouth when you cough.
God, I am.
Mm-mm.
I'm in my room alone.
Where's
Cover your
Toto?
mouth.
I did.
Okay, there is.
How are you supposed to know?
Mm. No, it says
Wait.
the game's not joined. Is not available anymore. Let me.
Oh my god.
What the fuck? Am I
Hold
cursed?
on, hold on.
Yeah, guys, I'm ruining
Yeah, I
everything
can't join
tonight.
you.
I don't ruin
Frenzel.
stream, guys.
Oh, I'm
Oh.
blocked. Ooh, oh.
All right, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna restart my game.
Okay, me too.
Alright, I guess I might as well.
Well, if this doesn't work, then I vote we go rivals.
I'm actually down with that vote. I ran a smooth 140 frames on MR with this laptop, so I'd rather it be 200 frames, but it's alright.
Dude, I cannot get 200 frames. I capped my shit at 60.
60? I run a smooth 120.
Well, I also stream, so.
I was running, yeah, I'm pretty sure I was running like in between, like loading screen wise, I was like 300 frames a second on Siege, and like during the game, I was like 130 to 140. Then again, this is a little bit overkill for playing games and doing homework. It is way overkill for homework, I think that much for sure.
Dude, my PC was built in like 2022.
Nerd.
Alright, invite. There's Cassie.
You're gonna get called a nerd every day of the week.
I do not see a Tanwer on my.
Why do I? Oh, I gotta change my fucking username on Steam sometime, man.
Well, here's how we solve that until we get you in here.
I let my little sister put it up there.
There we go. Now I'm blocking my friends' usernames with my thighs.
I put my favorite year in there because like 2008 was peak, bro. I don't even know what came out in 2008. I look, you don't remember. Does anybody remember? Y'all are old enough. Yeah.
A recession. I think I was in middle school.
I was in
Okay.
elementary school. I'm just gonna disappear now.
I don't remember what was in there, man. Why is Dead? I mean, at this point, I might as well, because apparently Dead by Daylight is being stupid.
How about we just do a Cassie Vixie match to give you a chance to see if you can get it working, and then if not, we go to rivals.
Hold on.
I
I mean, you can, but I was gonna try something real quick. See, but of course not. Yeah, we know what. It's good, because it ain't. I don't know what's going on today, man. I guess
Alright.
my Dead by Daylight is smoking crack.
Then we do one with.
You might as well just play with Cassie, bro. I don't know why my thing ain't working.
Try and launch rivals.
Oh, I know I can launch that. That's for sure. That's a given. That's a given.
I am okay with switching to rivals after this match.
I think your stream title there started with DVD, man. It said Dead by Daylight.
I mean,
What?
it says, "Why is the moon spicy?" That can apply to rivals too. It's fine. Because Moon Knight do be spicy.
One new mention. Where? Oh, streams. Shit.
Oh.
Dude, I saw like when I got back on Discord on this thing, I had like
I get the feeling
every now and then I had like welcome messages, and I wonder who joined, so I kept looking, and I didn't really pay attention.
Oh, those were a bunch of bots.
Of course.
I was on the bonking.
My fault. I'm a little slow.
No. I literally would get the notification on my phone, and I'd be like, "Who the fuck is you?" And then
Bonk.
it's a bot, and then I'm like, "All right, bye."
Get bonked, ho.
I'm about to bonk this Dwight if he doesn't ready up. Oh my god, I see the chat now, Cassie. Cassie admits to liking feet.
Oh, I just saw a highlighted message that you tagged me in back in a certain chat, and I just read it again. I forgot
Which
I was
one? Was
You
it
know,
mod chat?
Yeah.
You just now read that?
No, I read it a long time ago.
I was
just
about to
I just
say.
reread it. And it's still what the fuck in my opinion.
Yeah, that is a very what the fuck thing. I feel like I just should add Cassie to access mod chat in my Discord at this point.
My
Maybe I'm
question
not.
is, what is that?
What is what?
The newest thing you posted.
The
Look,
color
you got a
code?
quote.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's the hex code for the redeems. I was copy pasting it a lot, and I didn't want to lose it.
It's cool with me.
I use my mod chat as a notepad sometimes.
I have 84 hours in Marvel Rivals, man.
Full eyeballs?
Yeah.
Not
And I have
my place.
162 in Dead by Daylight.
The
I have
power of Dr.
83 on
Pepper
Schedule 1.
flows with me.
Power of Dr. Pepper compels us. The power of Dr. Pepper compels us.
Compels us.
There's a game up here I swear I had 400 hours in. I forgot what it was. Oh, Elden Ring. I have 400 hours.
Oh, that's
on Elden
Oni.
Ring.
That is an Oni.
We're doing.
And I'm the obsession.
Where's it at?
Oh,
Hold on,
he's chasing Laura.
yeah, guys, I have 420 hours on Elden Ring.
God damn.
No life.
Hey, it's
Hello.
not as bad as my 2,000 hours in Destiny 2.
I know
Destiny's
somebody
different.
With, I know somebody with over 1,000 hours in Dead by Daylight. I don't know how you can play that game so much. That game pisses me off so quickly.
I did uninstall at one point.
I
Talking crap about my couple 100,000 hours in games.
No, I was actually talking about my 2,000 hours in Destiny 2, but you know what, since you're here and you brought it up.
Over $5,000 in the Destiny franchise.
You're closer to 10 nowadays.
Gosh.
Over various accounts and over the years, Zeph is at 10,000 hours on D2.
Jesus Christ.
Hey, Ophi.
Is he gonna go for her? Is he getting chased? Oh, I guess I'll go for her. Going the long way.
Oh, I'm just creeping around.
Well, if we have two hooked, it's gonna be cock-a-doodle for both of us. So I'm gonna try and... Oh, it's Blight.
I thought it was an Oni. He made a weird
No.
growling noise, damn. And before the DBD devs are like, oh, there was a bug that Blight sounded like Oni.
Girl, what are you doing?
Isn't there
Me
always
or-
a bug in this?
There's an ant on me! Oh,
Me or, oh god, hello. We're gonna put that down. I'm gonna go
No,
for
he's gonna
whoever's
put
right
me-
here.
okay.
Okay, we're going for Dwight.
He saw me. He's just camping this hook. That's how he saw me.
He's going for me now.
I want Magic's disco skin, bro. That's so fuck. That's so deep.
Jesus Christ. Oh, Jesus. I don't like Blight. I don't like Blight.
If you crouch on one of those rocks, he'll fly off.
I think,
don't know
oh
why
god.
I'm- I don't know why I'm being so careful on the cuss words. Like, this isn't an 18+ stream, bro. Like,
I mean, I do swear how many times a fucking stream?
a lot.
We need a swear jar command at this point.
Bruh. I'd feel that
Leave me
shit.
alone! I just want to eat my chicken and peas.
I just hear, I just get chased by the killer and I'm like, fuck, 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 and I just hear the jar noise go off repeatedly. Why the hell would you pull me off hook in front of the blight? Why in the...
Water.
Yeah. Oh, yay. I am healed. Well, I'm not healed. I'm fucking exposed. Go away, blight. Yeah, go chase the other one. No, Dwight, damn it. I gotta save my Pookie. I gotta save Pookie. Dwight, like, me, go. Go with me. Thank you. I'm coming, Pookie.
Help.
Run.
He's picking up, so let me heal you. Nope. You only have one hook. I'm death hook, so it doesn't matter. This is gonna be such a fucking hatch game, dude.
It really is.
You want hatch?
I don't even know where it's gonna be. He's gonna get my ass.
I'm gonna get mine.
It's a bot. Goodbye.
We both got stuck in the door, and I was like, well, this is the end.
Oh, he's chasing me.
I know. I'm trying to get him to get off of you. Leave Pookie alone.
Alright. I'm hoping he's chasing the
He's on
Dwight.
me.
Okay, he's not chasing me. But I still hear him.
Nice. He's on me.
I'm exposed again.
Goodbye. I'm not gonna say anything in end game chat. I can't.
He is gonna find me. Oh. Yeah, he
Dwight
found
is
me.
dead.
No, the Dwight was not dead.
Damn.
Why is my roof so high, bro?
You probably are sick.
Oh,
I mean-
really?
I mean, he's taking the cough med, so I think he is sick.
That bot better unhook you, I swear to God.
They better,
No,
but
I
they
could
won't.
be- I could be just drinking an expired cough syrup without y'all knowing.
I mean, you could. But you've been coughing, so I lean towards sick.
I don't do lean. I ain't smoked weed forever.
Oh, brother.
We're gonna just abandon because we know the bot's not getting
Yeah.
us.
Yeah, no. He can't hook most of the time, so
I vote we go to rivals.
I wanna play DVD. Whee!
Whee!
Tanner, hurry up.
I'm on Rivals game.
I'm gonna keep playing, but I will hang out in here and watch you play Wobble Wobbles.
Okay. Alright, let's get to rivals.
We should have had a 3-stack, bro.
We could have. But DBD.
I will when I have my DVD fill. Oh.
I So you're not gonna stop streaming for like another 4 hours.
Huh?
Her to have her DVD feel is probably gonna be like another hour.
Okay. Rivals, why are you not launching? There we
Is that a
go.
Thunderbird with a big ass turbo?
Huh? I heard Zeph's favorite car. What?
I would send it to you, but I don't have you on anything, and it's on Instagram.
Oh yeah, I don't use
Honestly,
Instagram.
um,
I used to. I just don't.
yeah, no, let's not send it to the lounge because I don't think anybody was gonna care.
Oh.
I sent it to you. I sent you the link for it at least. There's like a,
I think that's a Corvette.
I don't know, man. I
Look at
might
the
be wrong.
tags.
I might be wrong.
Yeah, that's a Corvette.
My fault.
Oh no, Zeph is
I
a
saw the front of the
fucking
car.
thunder. He's a Thunderbird fiend. I am mildly expecting him to be like, "Hey,
Yeah, I'm getting cussed out.
where is my why?"
Holy man. Oh, you're on Rivals? My fault.
I'm waiting on it to launch. I'm trying to get streamed to. Excuse me. Why is?
I can link my Discord.
Yeah, you can link your Discord. There we go. OBS was being stinky. My name on Rivals is just the same as my Twitch username, VixieVT.
I wanna.
I'm gonna turn on my fan.
Alright, hold on. You said it's what?
VixieVT.
Are you level 41, bro?
Yes, I am.
Alright, I sent you one. Why'd I invite you? You could have just. I also sent you a friend request.
Yeah, that's what I was meaning, was a friend request.
That's what I did.
And you invited me. But what's
Yeah.
wrong with me being level 41?
Nothing, but there you go. I don't feel like doing all that.
Alright, but fuck it, we ball.
Did you just throw us straight in the ring?
No, it's quick match.
How about to say, bro?
I'm not
warm-up
that
was
mean.
crazy.
You'll need a top
I feel like I do worse when I warm up.
I guess. I guess.
Oh, god damn it, Neslab. I didn't see that you were gonna go strange.
I guess.
God damn it. I'm missing out on my
You
Wanda.
just mentioned it.
Okay. Wait. Change to another tank. I want to fake out this Wanda.
You don't have to be
All right,
a
switch
witch
back.
to find the magic in this world. But it does help.
Hehehehe.
Did you actually do that? Oh
Yeah.
my god, you did.
I actually pulled it off. I pulled the fake out off.
I have made my share of mistakes, but I am fighting every day.
30 seconds before you attack. Get ready. Get ready.
Oh, Marks, I have not played this. I played it a few days ago, but I was never playing Doctor Strange. I always played Venom.
It's fine. This is quick match. No one's gonna give a fuck.
I will remain loyal to my friends.
You're about to call me trash as shit. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Listen, just don't call me trash and we're good. I fully admit I am
When would
trash.
I ever call you that?
4,
I've
You've
never
seen
called
how
you
bad I
trash
am at
before.
this game.
1. You have to stop them.
Better than me, man. That's
Mega.
my opinion. I don't say much.
Mega.
Nope. Did Mega say something? I ain't looking.
Mega called me trash, and I died.
I need you to back up here, man.
Mega.
I don't know why you pushed that.
Because I was hoping I could get them from the sky. My area assault Wanda.
Here is not done.
Well, I had no heals, so
I am not a healer, sir.
I was where a healer could heal me, and I had no heal.
Well, that sucks. Is that not what you were wanting? No, I would like reassurance from my favorite mod.
This shield should do nicely.
But it is also Mega.
You're not
Hold on. I'm trying to have great portal placement here.
Be right there.
Is that the first portal I placed? Oh my god, I'm an idiot.
Chaos control.
Hold on, guys. Hold on. This guy made a very terrible mistake. Why don't you just shoot through the portal?
Okay.
Bro? Yeah, I'm being a bitch. Let me get on site. Let me get on point here, guys.
Did you do? Thing, don't call me trash. Oh my goodness.
Going anywhere.
I'm just talking about Tanner can't call me trash at Rivals. And I died again.
Right, I can't, because I can't even kill a squirrel girl.
Sable!
wait.
Sable, don't bark.
Can you go screw off with that minigun of yours, man?
Not done.
For a warm-up match, this is fucking awful. Sable, you're okay.
Protective shield. Perfect.
You're up, little one.
2-2 right now, I suck. My portal disappeared, I guess.
Yeah, they time out.
That's some bull.
Oh, that Luna was low.
I don't worry about it.
Our enemies are near.
Oh my gosh.
Sire, my work here is not done.
I haven't
Nope.
played fucking...
Appreciate it.
I haven't played Wanda in a week. You know, I'm just gonna...
I am wounded. You need to stop
Guys.
that vehicle in its tracks.
I want you to hit tab and look at what I just saw. We are getting walked by all DPS and 2 healers.
Yeah.
Better stop that vehicle.
You know what? The Strange would be worth it, but we're getting our asses kicked, so...
Superpowers are amazing. Also,
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie
the
to you.
ice effects looked great on stage.
I might have to go back to the OG, man.
That's the saying, and be your best self.
Oh, we have a Mantis. That's... That feels like throwing.
That explains it.
Like, I can get behind a good Mantis player, but not with this team comp.
On a show.
That explains it. Come down here, bro. Stop being up there. Just want to get that storm, please.
Feel the wrath of the goddess!
Oh, yeah.
Oh, fuck. Fuck. I'm getting my ass beat.
Telling me, man. I'm 3 and 5. Oh, now you want to heal me, huh? Took you long enough.
I've still got songs to sing.
There's still a chance to stop them.
A nice deep freeze. I appreciate you.
Hello.
Bring on the chaos! Hurricane incoming!
Somebody mind filling me in on how I had all of my healers there? I'm not even mad at you. We have 3 healers. You're doing great, and I don't get heals from any of the other 2. That's the crazy part, man.
Yeah, because Mantis is a hero that really needs to patty cake with another healer. So, and Venom being one of those hit it and run tanks, kind of not a great.
A nice deep freeze. Ooh, a touch of healing. I was worried.
Oh, damn it, the Psylocke was low.
My fault. I didn't even see her.
No, she popped away from me.
I'm ready to put on a show. It's okay. You need me. I like the cold. Snowball fights.
You stop them in their tracks.
I don't have to be center stage.
There we go.
Ooh, a touch of healing. Why bother? I suck.
It pleases me to be helpful.
I need to remember what I...
Kill me, you simpletons.
I need to remember what I set my wheel as. Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck, 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 fuck. I got marked by a Jeff.
I've still got songs to sing.
Our rogue has switched to a Hella.
Be strong together. Thanks so much.
Healing. Why would I need healing?
Feel the wrath of the goddess!
Only 60 seconds left.
I got solo ulted by a storm. That is... Oh my goodness.
I'm back in the fight.
I need to tweak my dizzy thing on face to face.
Nice deep freeze.
Mental note.
You need me. On the help. I put you on ice. Down to 30 seconds. We're so close. Hang on.
Increasing hell.
Be strong together.
Judge, jury, executioner!
Healing. Why would I need healing?
Shake it up.
Okay, you killed him after I died.
Yes, Zeph.
She'll have to be center stage. You'll have to keep fighting until we have a winner. I am ready.
I needed to keep myself alive.
I appreciate you.
Come on, Loki, get down here. End of my ult.
Do I throw like a girl?
I tried, Tanner.
Maybe don't spot bad guys.
Lilac was hiding in a corner, so.
I know you were on a fucking sliver. Hello.
Another epic victory. Big win.
Damn.
I'm surprised we turned that around.
Alright, I'll be waiting for my invitation.
Are you gonna join us?
Invitation.
Okay, then get in Discord, please. Oh,
Yeah,
I guess.
guy.
Oh, Zeph apparently is joining us.
W's.
You know what? Ignore that. Invite him. Yes, request to join the team. There we go. Hi, Zeph.
Where's Cass?
On DVD.
DVD.
Oh. Well,
Alright.
never mind then.
What? Too late now.
Alt F.
You really gonna do us dirty like that?
Yep.
Oh, you turned my fan.
That sucks, don't it?
It does, 'cause it's hot in here.
You'll need a top-notch team to win this one.
You don't have to be a witch to find the magic in
Oh, you don't have to do Strange, Tanner, if you don't want to.
I felt like it.
Yay.
Did you actually all F4s though? For you actually?
No, he came in here to turn the fan back.
Black Widow. I would love another tank though.
Fuck the tanks.
You know, Zeph kind of covers my shirt on Fugi,
surrounds us.
so
But I will
I'm not mad at
never
this.
show it who is in control.
He covers up the LF and MILF.
30 seconds before you attack. Get ready.
Spies
We find ourselves caught in a battle between two dooms.
Oh, we're defending. Oh shit.
I mean, we were last time too.
Yo. I am being squished.
So how about we work together to steal a week?
The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You have to stop
Boobs.
them.
Yes, Mega. Boobs.
Feeling stronger already. Disappearing. Chaos control.
Ooh, guys. How quickly did my healers die, bro?
Probably very.
There's only 2 healers, so.
Yeah.
My fate isn't sealed yet.
I would love if our damage would do their job.
In its tracks.
Not y'all.
Hey, I got a kill. I'm doing damage. I'm just getting picked off before I can finish them off. Oh, that's lovely.
How is our Hawkeye ace, even though the man has 1 kill?
Because he's survived the longest.
Bull Balarkey.
I
Last
don't
time I
know.
survived the longest. I watched all of you die before me.
Oh god.
Be right there.
I got fucking yeeted. It's like something, I don't know how they determine it. I think it's like something like your KDA. Or like how many you get in a short period.
I won't make the same mistakes
course.
again.
So it bounces around a lot early game.
Stop them.
Chaos control. How dare you waste my sorcerer supreme?
Is that a white fox I see?
I need heals, Gambit. I need heals. Thank you, Gambit.
Oh, you're telling me, buddy. I would love some of those.
What the hell?
I've been surviving off my own fucking will at this point.
You need to teach me that spell, Stephen. The end has come. Goodbye. For now.
A quick little solo ult.
You are under my spell. Really helped.
Motherfucker. Got clipped on a rock.
Damage sustained.
Thank you, Gim.
I tried to back up and I got the rock.
My work here is not done.
Whoa, guy.
Oh, Jesus.
I ain't gonna fear none of that.
The only thing I fear is being groomed by a Magneto.
Gambit's luck just ran out.
You stop them in their tracks.
Chaos control. Corrective engine. Make it.
I tried my best right now, man.
Be right there.
Yeah, I'm just gonna back this one up, yeah. Oh, I couldn't.
Shit. Whew. God damn, that was close.
Disappearing.
Better stop that vehicle.
Oh, you're a Psylocke now. Hi, hon.
They hit a checkpoint. Now might be a good time to stop them.
That portal was useless.
Now you're learning.
Oh, I mean, use me a free angle on a fight.
Yeah, that portal was right in my face. I could not see.
Well, I didn't know you were sitting there when I.
God, that was a rubber band and a half. Please tell me someone else saw
Penis.
that. Hi, Mega. Bye, Mega.
Reborn from the chaos.
Comes in, says penis, and leaves.
Yes, that is Mega.
Man, get her on your Mario.
Listen, Mega is just here to say penis.
Better stop that vehicle. I'm counting on you. It's now or never. Stop them.
Oh, the guy with the best KDA is an ace. Who you are. Crazy. Watch this.
Hi, Moji. Yeah, we switched because Tanner was having issues with DVD.
Little solo ult.
Gotta love being
I
solo
need to change
ulted.
my keyboards. Well, I feel like an asshole when I solo ult because I basically just stunned them all.
Oh, I don't feel like an asshole. How the match has been? DVD, it was awful. Rivals, also awful, but doable. DVD's just lately. Honestly, you're not wrong. I'm getting the fuck out of the way of that.
I can't hit shit. Sorry, guys. I tried to protect you.
Oh, okay.
Oh, nope, you have the best KDA now. 16, 4, and 2.
16 to 5.
Well, you were 4 when I last looked, okay?
I just died.
Do I have to switch back to Venom, bro?
Oh, I hate that. Oh, I'm 19 and 6 though.
I won't make the same mistakes again.
I stalled them for a little bit.
You did.
The moon haunts you.
Found you. I guess it does.
Ouch.
Well, you can't expect to win them all.
We got the Vixie carry.
Hey, I'm trying. Hey, hun. Mama Vixie needs you for a minute.
That's fine, because that was my only Marvel Rivals matchup.
I hate to do this to you, but so I don't get yelled at, I gotta go shower real quick. I'll be back on in a minute.
Okay.
I'll be back, guys.
Alright, now that they're gone. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
And now that they're all gone. Just kidding. This is my last match. I'm actually having a ball here because the ghoul is actually nice, or they're fucking playing us. That spring trap just camped me. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know.
I'm gonna do another quick match, but I'm gonna do Moon Knight. And while we're launching, claim some bingo stuff. Da-da-da. We got Hat on desk. Stable's been screaming. I died.
I'm not judging.
I tear through the cloudless night, just like the
Da-da-da. I don't have a snack. I did have to hydrate. Kinetic energies, oh my god. Bitch, that's a check.
Yeah, the school's actually being nice, so I'm like, please don't actually hurt us.
Friends call
What I'm hearing is Blood Warden here in a minute.
or Stephen,
Possibly.
or Jake.
No one's been hooked.
30 seconds.
Noed and Blood Warden.
Get ready.
Mm.
The Hellfire Gala's big stage energy is unreal. I should have worn something flashier.
I'm scared now.
You're already
I also would be scared.
Wow, a fashion compliment from Amy Han? More of an assessment.
Back. That's what I wanted.
The battle starts in 5, 4, 3,
Wee.
2, 1. All you need to do is capture the mission area. Got it?
It doesn't matter if a conflict is geological, commercial, or even multiversal. I'd rather end
Oh
things quick.
lord. Both doors are on the same side.
Oh no.
I sense them. I'm hit.
He's chasing the thing. I don't know where she's at. She's around here somewhere.
And I'm at least proficient using Jeff the Shark. Yay.
Mission area is
I don't have to be the only healer.
to capture the mission area.
Get some points, bro.
Whee!
Dwight, what are you doing?
Hold your punches, Ben. Mistake.
Terrible, but most healing and most damage. Hell yeah.
The squirrels are going to hate me. Thank you very much.
Well struck, Moon Knight. Conjure
I was a mercenary. I know how to spot a snipe. Love battlefield medicine.
All right.
I found them.
Hey, there's a Jeff. Speaking of Jeff. Most healing and... Sorry, I didn't quite read that soon enough. Nice, I was in a sketchy spot.
Who do I
But
drop
yeah.
stuff on controller?
I have no clue.
Ah, he hit me.
Rise and fall.
Yay.
That feels better. The moon haunts you.
That's 3.
Country
Capture more
demands
than half of
vengeance.
the mission area. Keep going.
Do.
Force burst.
Thank you very much. There, ahead. I found them.
Foe has concealed themselves, but not well enough. Mind the exploding plasma.
Oh, there was somebody behind me. I'm lousy at DPS though. I've tried a bunch and only get at Scroll Girl. I suck at tank. I am really bad at it.
Let me rest.
I'm kind of okay with strategist positioning, especially because Luna is one of my mains. But dear God,
Clearly you needed some help.
I am clearly a DPS at heart.
Rise and fall.
I'm over here babbling like a dummy. You're not a dummy. You're not a dummy, Cassie. Forgot I wasn't muted. Marble Wivels. Yay!
Khonshu guides me, just not always in the right direction.
Yay, Cassie has brain cells. Oops, scroll, oop up, alt, thanks, fall back. Oh, heal please.
Victory has escaped us. Fall back.
I've never met an honest-to-goodness angel before.
And you still have not. I make whole heaven my home, but I was born of
I had to be like, misclick. It not ready, LMAO.
So you know Thor then? He and I go way back. We're totally battle bros.
The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All you need to do is capture the mission area. Got it?
I just set that back to the original ultimate
Head.
engine.
Don't know what to think.
Whee! Ellen Mayo.
Heads up, back guys.
Thank you very much. Needed that. It's clobbering time again!
Looks like the mission area is yours to capture now. The mission area is yours.
Rise and fall.
Do.
Don't you smile on us. The moon haunts you. The power of the moon. Thank you very much. Love battlefield medicine.
Do.
I took that sniper off the board. A gift from Khonshu.
Oh god, I had to reload. Didn't have enough to finish him off. There we go.
You've captured more than half of the mission area. Keep going.
All right, that feels better. A gift from Khonshu.
Do.
They're sneaking from behind. Perfect.
The moon haunts you.
Double KO. That's 3.
Do.
Almost yours. Wow, 4 in a row.
Thank you very much. Good, you needed it. Khonshu never rests. All right, that feels better.
Enemies on your tail.
Ta-da! I was very locked in for that. Jesus. Moon Knight is easy to play, but he's not.
Victory. Big win.
If I get tripped up, I get fucking tripped up massively. Alright, Cassie, are you ready? Aw. Oh, Moon Knight has the hero thingy. Yay. Ah, so close yet so far. Just need one more before I can claim. Yes, here, you gonna be upset if I do another one? When you play a level up and flex, in 40s, I'm barely level 19. A lot of it nice is achievements. Walk around the same blood and swallow water. Bum, 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 ba, da, 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 da. I might do one more while we waiting on Cassie. Diamonds are forever. I feel like y'all would like a karaoke stream because I'm bad at karaoke. Or at least like a karaoke bit. You want me like smoke. Temporary, but these diamonds are forever.
Khonshu guides me, just not always in the right direction.
30 seconds before you attack. Get ready.
You're a shooter like me. There's no shooter like me, buddy. Never figured I'd have something.
Yay, my favorite sprays.
The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Body, yeah.
Is capture the mission area. Got it? No. You're expecting Peter Parker? Please.
There's somebody who needs a bullet. Heads up, hostiles.
A gift from Khonshu. Better put this to good use.
You go have fun. I've got yours.
I am the light in the darkness.
Looks like the mission area is yours to capture now.
Rise and fall.
The mission area is yours.
Do.
We did it, Spider. You lost your shields.
A gift from Khonshu. Better put this to good use.
Throw it on, can stuff bounce? Yeah. My left click bounces between Onk and enemy.
Really like her armor. More bad guys. Just
And it sucks enemies in towards the center.
Rise and fall.
someone scratch my back.
You captured more than half of the
Gift
mission
from
area.
Khonshu.
Keep going.
The power of the moon.
Double KO.
Whee! Appreciators loading? Hell yeah.
Gone. Thanks.
Break your magic.
Aw, Blade disappeared. I wanted to play.
Shoot these ops whenever you find them.
Rise and fall.
Glory is almost yours.
On your toes. Here they come.
This thing is not very good.
Thank you very much.
That's 3.
I am the light in the darkness. All right, that feels better.
I can do that too, Cap. I just can't do it as fast as you can. I can't bunny hop with a Moon Knight. Whee!
Khonshu has guided me this far. I trust him.
Wait, Zeph, have you played Moon Knight? I genuinely might use Moon Knight as my new main.
Before you attack, get ready.
Because I like to just throw shit.
Poor Gambit ain't used to saving time and space. He's
We know.
just a simple thief at heart.
Wow, Tanner's back. How was your shower?
There's a first time for everything, Mona Lisa.
Great, even though it makes me feel hotter.
The battle starts in 5,
That's when you turn
I
the
like
water
hot
down.
showers.
3,
No.
2, 1.
Okay, Tanner's not already girly.
Mission area. Got it?
Ready to join? Hell yeah. I'm almost done with this match. And Tanner just got back too, so.
My hot showers are the greatest thing I look forward to in my day, man.
Listen, Zeph can confirm I shower hotter than the fucking sun, it feels like.
They are. They don't look friendly.
A gift from Khonshu.
I agree with that, though.
Khonshu is my shield.
Looks like the mission area.
Ain't nothing wrong with it.
Capture now.
Oh, I finally got murdered. I finally got.
Our cult leader is dying.
My fist.
You can never have that, can you?
I died once. Fine, I'll just rise again. But I keep the souls in the basement for anyways.
Release the devil. No, I'm kidding.
Let the devil out.
Rise and fall.
Ouch. Oh, that's another soul. Oh, it's another Moon Knight. That is...
Khonshu, watch over me.
Hey, I got my ult.
See you.
Limbo stands with you.
The moon haunts you.
Some sort of ancient unk?
Okay, hold your horses. I'll deploy another beacon.
Khonshu is the moon haunts you. I am vengeance.
Their team's capture progress has passed the halfway point.
A gift from Khonshu. Took out the other moon.
Ha ha ha, that Elsa is pain.
This, mate. You're welcome.
Come on, Khonshu. Let
Come
me
on.
rest.
We need to group up and get on the point. I do not want this to go to a third round.
Fantastic!
A gift from Khonshu. The wounds are gone. Thanks.
Don't mind me.
Get the fuck off of me.
You'll have to keep fighting until we have a winner.
There we go.
Control seized.
Whew. We got control.
C'est la vie. What? You expected Gambit to throw some beads?
Rise and fall.
Patch you up.
This is natural anger.
Man, I gotta make another beacon? What you say?
The wounds are gone. Thanks.
I swear my mother is still messaging me.
I need assistance.
It's like every time I stream.
Control
Get
lost.
up, my fist.
You'll have to keep fighting until we have a winner.
How is Jeff NATO team up unavailable?
We don't have a storm on our team. Oh,
No, I
in
mean,
general.
like, on team ups, yeah.
Oh god, this went to round 3. But on team ups, they probably kill switched it for a little bit.
I mean, Jeff, including that one, Jeff's in like 4 fucking team ups, man.
Khonshu has guided me this far. I trust him.
I really hope this round doesn't take forever. Because, dear God, I don't want to be in this match anymore. I want to get my friends into the match.
Time to practice as Daredevil, guys. I'm switching up.
I mean, I'm going back to being Moon Knight, so...
The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All you need to do is capture the mission area. Got it?
This may be pretty cloudy. If we don't win this, the future is pretty clear.
I'm counting on you, friend.
Needed that, thanks. Thank you very much.
Double KO. Whoever they are, they don't look friendly.
You're welcome. The moon haunts you.
Looks like the mission area is yours to capture now.
Motherfucker.
I'll patch you up.
I see you.
Aw.
The Daredevil thing.
Oh. Thought you were spectating somehow.
No.
Khonshu, watch over me.
I feel like we are losing this match, especially because we just had somebody DC.
Rise and fall. Love battlefield medicine. I'll patch you up.
Just who Gambit was looking for.
See, I'm flunking helpful. Thank you very much.
Double KO.
I am the light in the darkness.
Checking out all the heroes I have in this league. Like Mr. Fantastic.
Their team's capture progress has passed up.
The moon haunts you. The wounds are gone. Thanks. Let me return the favor. Again. Thank you very much. An onk. Hey, that's my trick.
What to do?
The moon haunts you.
Enemy in front of us.
Satisfying. Thank you very much. That's me.
What to do?
Target neutral. I am Groot. The wounds are gone. Thanks.
Gambit got your back.
You've captured more than half of the mission area. Keep going.
Step aside and let a real hero show you how it's done.
Come on, come on. Oh shit. Nope, I got moved off of Ace, but that's fine.
My life.
Guess Khonshu's got my back after all. I'll be disappointed if they're a no-show.
Come on. Stay on the point.
The area's almost yours.
Pulse charge. Fire.
Control lost.
Rise and fall.
Jesus Christ. That Elsa is a pain.
Khonshu, watch over me.
Armor patch here. Pay up. Can't handle the heat.
Rise and fall.
They've almost got it.
We need to get on the point. I hate that Elsa. Well, we lost. That's fine.
Well, you can't expect to win them all.
Throw down, matey. It was just business. Okay, and a little pleasure.
Double kill!
Back up if I were you.
Do. All right. Invite, and then Tanner's in the game.
Oh, my fault. My fault. I was in practice range.
Oh, you're good.
My B.
I
There you
wasn't
go.
watching Instagram reels. You were.
Dude, I do the same
Cass,
shit.
Play ranked, man.
We're playing ranked.
We can't play ranked.
No, you
Cassie's not at
can't.
level
Oh.
10.
Oh, okay. I almost shit my pants.
The
You
I got
next.
so scared, dude. I was like, no, what are you doing?
Man, I'm starting to think I need something for you to put on the Twitch screen. I can't just be lonely now. Cassie got one. I gotta have one.
I'll teach you how to set one up later.
Or villain, I'm not judging.
Weenie,
I care for the
feels
cloudless
left
night,
out.
just like the moon.
If you don't shut up,
Wah. That's all I hear. Wah.
Hee
Dixie, can you smack her for me, please?
No,
It's women on women violence. I can't do it.
the horror. Yeah, the horror.
Need strategist. Your mom.
Well, I would love.
I
that.
was
Oh,
about-
Jake.
I almost said that in match chat.
Me too. I had to stop myself. Where is he so I can bother him?
30 seconds before you attack. Get ready.
You think you know the code.
I've never
It's a
played Rogue,
fucking
by the
Human
way, guys.
Torch.
You wouldn't last
Good luck.
Then I'll be sure to take it off my
I'm
list
trying to
of
learn her,
possible tour
so
stops.
don't
Oh,
don't
it's
call
this
me
dude.
shit.
Wah.
Feel like nothing more than a summer
Yeah.
breeze to me.
Okay, if you say so. The battle starts in 5, 4,
Yeah, we're not changing.
1.
Absolutely fucking not.
All you need
If
do
he
is
wants to
capture
complain
the
like a
mission
little,
area. Got it?
then
It's
he can.
quick play. He does not need to care for quick play.
No, I got stuck. This stupid bird.
Rip.
Rise and fall.
I'm clocking some bad guys.
And that's the hunt in my hole. I like the cold. Looks like the mission area is yours to capture now. The mission area is yours.
What is this storm doing, dude?
I'm not done.
I have no
Goodbye.
clue.
Haha, I stole his
Thank
kill.
you very much.
Get your ass.
Hopefully this Elsa's not as...
Oh shit! Oh!
Nice deep freeze.
Help! I accidentally flew in
You girl boss too close to the sun.
the suns. Yeah.
More of them than us? This'll be fun.
I'm not changing my hero.
Why am I playing Rogue like I'm playing Winston in Overwatch, bro? I'm playing like a dive.
Girl, you a tank and you died? Get your ass out there right now.
Hey, it's a tank he hasn't played before.
I don't care. It's like Final Fantasy. They're all the same.
Back where I
They are
started.
not, sadly.
I know. Deadpool got me.
Oh, Cassie's
Luna.
dead. Yeah, there's a Luna.
It's okay.
Oh, she got me.
You need me.
Thank you very much.
That one hurts. A nice deep freeze.
Like how we're all flying. I could see our team just flying around.
Yes. Why-
Woo!
Why am I
outta
1v1ing
here.
a tank?
My
Womp womp.
heartbeat. Didn't mean to do that.
Oh, that's
They're
our Luna
trying
that's
to
ulting.
flank us. Ooh,
Ouchie.
ooh, backing it up. Backing it up.
I love how in the last game somebody was being toxic and I just was like, nope.
Oh yeah, I remember. They're like, wah,
It's like played Moon Knight the whole game, still got diffed. I don't care. I am not good at Moon Knight.
At this point the whole time, guys.
Thank you very much.
Nope, not today. Not today, Satan. Not today. Nope.
I was about to say hot take.
Man, they're pushing
but,
hard.
Rogue is not a hot take, bro. Rogue is just
Rogue is just Rogue. I think anybody with a pulse would.
right.
We got it. We got it. Keep pushing.
After this round, I have to take a break for a second because my mother apparently Zeph is in a match.
You've captured more than half of the mission area.
Take your time, bro. I'm gonna sit right here until they push, bro. Dude, they have long range. I don't know if I like getting close.
Did I just stun her out of that with my onk somehow?
Yes.
Wow,
Oh my god. I didn't even know my onk could do that.
Keep your up love battlefield
They're
medicine.
yep. They're up top. They're trying to flank.
It's the Elsa.
Bye bye.
The cold never bothered me anyways.
I didn't know he popped his ult.
Fucking got me.
I died to a Namor, bro. I suck. Guys,
Hold
Oh,
on. Here we
sweet
go.
Jesus.
We lost.
Oh, we lost one round.
my question is, who didn't touch point there?
I was dead, though.
All of us. I
No, but
barely
somebody
touched
was
it.
up there. Somebody was still there and they didn't touch point. Oh, you did.
The moon gives me strength.
I don't know. I didn't see the silhouette. Probably. I think it was Warboy. He didn't touch point that whole game
Yeah.
almost.
Stinky.
I like Rogue now, guys. I don't know how she's a 5-star difficulty.
She complicated compared to the other tanks.
She got
how?
combos.
Like her kits, technically.
I mean, I'm 7-3 with her. My Doctor Strange, I didn't start off this good. I died like 4 times before I got a kill.
Battle starts in 5.
And plus, in my opinion, she's better. She doesn't have to reload. She's a melee character, so shields don't matter.
All you need to do is capture the mission area. Got it?
I like you.
But then again,
for now. But trust me, that could change in a heartbeat.
I was a Sigma main, so I should be at least decent with Doctor Strange. But I also played Winston and Doomfist when I had to.
Rise and fall. The wounds are gone.
I'm trying to see where my healers are.
The mission area is yours to capture now.
Whee!
Guys, let's back it up here, guys.
I'm not done.
What does that ball do?
Oh,
Ow.
shit.
I like a good challenge, Namor.
Did I just tank a whale?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, gonna die. Back it up.
A gift from Khonshu.
I'm frozen, please.
Nope. Not today.
Needed that, thanks.
I'm missing like all of my shots as Moon Knight.
Same.
Now my
I don't know how I'm doing this.
There we go.
I just solo walked it. Fuck you.
rise and fall.
Double KO.
Vengeance is mine.
I feel, man, I don't even feel bad at this point.
I like a good challenge, Namor.
Mission area. Keep going.
The only
Fuck,
person with
fuck,
more
fuck.
kills than me is my Moon Knight.
A gift from
What does my little ball do? Oh, it just stuns people. Doesn't it?
I think so.
Right, that feels better.
I like the cold.
Those have to be Namor's weird friends.
The area's almost
Oh,
yours.
oh, oh.
I am ready to put on a show. Well,
What are you aiming at?
I am holding it. I'm trying to. I tried.
Damn.
control lost.
They pushed hella hard.
Yeah, I guess I'm getting fucked by the Luna.
I tried, guys. I'm sorry.
As a Luna main, that is embarrassing.
Yeah, maybe you should go on Luna and diff her.
There's another Lunar I would.
Get up, my fist.
You don't think I won't push this bitch myself? Are you serious?
Whoa.
Keep your ugly friends in the
I got
sea,
murdered,
boy.
dude.
I'm about to say, if you think I won't push this myself, you have been surely mistaken.
And this is how we get
Namor's friends.
murdered.
Rise and fall.
I don't care.
I got your back.
I don't care.
You see what happens when I push?
Hi, Gambit. The Elsa switched to Gambit.
Good night.
I'll be dead. So
Yeah, I stole the kill. Hee. That round 1 or was that round 2?
One.
round 2.
Oh, and we're in round 3. Holy shit.
Why did you say GG?
Cause he dumb. Yeah, my bad.
Yeah, I'm about to say, bro. You
Caught
mean
you
GR?
guides me.
Fucking idiot.
Just not always in the right direction.
Fucking dumbass.
What if he's just a baby?
I don't give a fuck.
30 seconds before you attack.
You were like, oh my god, match chat.
Bro said GGE. GG. Yeah, I know. Bro. I said GR, brother. You don't know what GR means?
No, not B-Dog wasn't talking to you.
I
Don't
know.
let me hurt you.
No.
Tanner's
Where's my
just
Gambit
like,
team up, man.
The battle starts in 5.
hey,
Yeah.
I want to learn how to
Yeah. Yeah.
play fucking Gambit.
Do is capture the mission area.
I mean, you don't have to if you don't want to. I'm chilling. Or do they
I
even
don't-
have a team up?
They do.
Big fella.
Okay. I had to make sure.
Shame.
Because apparently,
want-
lore-wise, they're married.
They are married. That's why I want Zeph to learn how to play Gambit so I can learn how to play Rogue.
They look like they mean
And
I'm not
just-
gonna lie to you. Just play dive tanks on Overwatch, man. That's all. That's all Rogue is.
I don't like Overwatch.
Oh! I got
I'm telling
murdered.
you, all Rogue is just a dive tank. Dude.
This Deadpool will not leave me alone.
That Deadpool is deadly.
He's being
Wow.
so mean to me.
capture the mission area.
Get up.
My healers
my
just die
fist.
instantly, so I don't know what the fuck to do here, man.
And then we have Invis pocket healing the Human Torch.
Which is gay.
Shields up.
Hey,
Mm.
that's a
Oh,
bad.
My fault. My fault. My fault. My
Thank
fault.
you very much.
Which is very stupid of her.
I mean, they have
I
a
got
team up.
some.
I also got.
Whoa!
I
That was
fucked up.
definitely payback from last match.
I fucked up on that one.
How you gonna pocket somebody who leaves
Get
the game,
up,
man?
my fist.
Oh. I forgot they had a hit scan character. I just died to. Ah.
My ult is ready, so I'm gonna try and use it the best I can. Ew, they're preemptively attacking.
See, I mean, my DPS is getting more kills than me, which makes sense, but like.
Their team's capture progress is the halfway point.
Wow, I died before I could use my ult. Fucking bitches. Leave me alone, Deadpool!
Shouldn't have pissed off the god of vengeance.
Ouchie.
I ain't fearing nothing about Magneto, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Thank you very much. What are you aiming at?
Like I said, I ain't feeling. I ain't.
Leave me alone, Deadpool! Wow. I
Ow,
couldn't even
ow,
use
ow,
my
ow.
fucking ult, dude.
I got trapped in their ult.
I seriously hate Wanda.
I play a mean Wanda.
Still not dead.
No,
It's just-
like on the other team, I hate playing against a Wanda because all she does is have to hold RT.
You'll have to keep fighting until we
Now I can use it.
I suck. What am I? Invisible?
The wounds are gone.
Wow.
Thanks.
I'm touching it, guys. Okay.
Yeah, I think it was just too late.
Well, you can't expect to win them all.
That's fine.
Oh, it said
going
Cassie
on
left team chat. I thought she left the game. I'm stupid as shit.
Cassie, do you have voice chat on?
No, I shouldn't.
Oh.
Magic though, Magic's hot too, man. Or maybe I'm just weird.
Oh no. Magic is 10 out of 10.
Like Magic and Rogue, bros, together. Personally, dream.
Oh, they changed it to where you have to be level 15 to do comp now.
Nah, I am exactly level 15.
I was just seeing if it was still 10, because back when I started playing, it was 10. What did I say?
Yeah, and back when I was playing Siege a long time ago, this shit was level 35, I believe. Now it's like fucking 60.
Oh,
It's 50
Did
actually.
you have to step away, Vixie, or no?
No, Zeph got it,
Oh, nice.
I think.
Great husband.
I thought I heard him get up and get it.
Pick your hero or villain. I'm
What
not
a great
judging.
guy.
I tear through the cloudless night, just like the moon.
I might actually main Rogue, guys.
I might actually main Moon Knight.
I don't care about the suggested thing to pick, man. I'm not picking the suggested thing. I'm gonna be me, man.
Oh, what did they suggest?
A Vanguard or a Strategist.
Oh, well, we got two that are waiting to lock in strategists, so.
The way the camera just turned on Rogue, bro. No, I'm kidding. I'm sorry, guys.
What's my little ball do? My
Gives
RB?
me strength.
Press F1 on your keyboard and see.
Get ready.
Oh, Zeph, it was
it's
just
the
what I
sun.
DM'd you.
Glimmering like a golden sun.
Low-key, I
Caution
don't
wouldn't
actually
like
know
you
what
one
her-
bit.
Yeah, I don't know Hella's stuff enough.
Dark side.
It is a stun.
And it became
Ah.
Pull them into a blast zone. Yeah.
Battle
Yikes.
starts in
No
5,
thanks.
4,
I happen to
3,
like all the pieces of me,
2,
right?
You know, my old nickname on Overwatch got
Capture the
banned.
mission area.
They
Oh, no.
forcefully changed it.
They'll do that on Rivals too.
My name isn't the same on Rivals because I'm not gonna take that risk again.
No, I'm just saying they do that shit on Rivals too. The VA for Deadpool had his name forcefully changed.
My God, I love my healers.
Oh, did you die or did you?
I got, bro. I don't know who was with me, but they were healing me mad, and I just got a fucking ace instantly.
Hell yeah.
Oh, I don't want to
I-
hurt Jeff.
I
Well-
I murked Jeff instantly. That was the first kill I had was Jeff. I'm sorry to tell you.
Oh, I don't care. I will murk Jeff any day of the week.
You're smart and busy. Weird question.
Yes.
What show is Georgie and Mandy from?
Young Sheldon, but they do have a spin-off of Georgie and Mandy's first marriage.
Okay.
Wait, why are you asking?
I'm sitting here scrolling through TikTok while I'm waiting for me to get into Forbidden Airport right now.
Oh, what an old.
That's pretty
And It keeps popping up on my For You page.
Oh, it's probably the
Is that on
spinoff
Hulk
then.
I see?
Okay, well, it's whenever
Oh
he has
my.
the trailer, so I don't know if that helps.
That doesn't help.
The auto shop.
Oh, then yeah, that's the spinoff.
Oh, so it is the spin-off?
Yeah.
And when he got her
Bro,
pregnant?
why would you switch? Why would you
That
just
was in
die
the
quickly?
main show.
That was in Young Show. Got it, okay.
I love that my husband just comes in and asks me the weirdest things during stream.
Why not?
And in honor of Mega, I'm going to say the infamous P word.
Penis.
No, the other word.
One of us gets to play with Khonshu's toys.
Oh my god.
Perfection.
Was getting kind of worried there.
What are quick chats? Are they teeth? No. What a old.
Hey, I'm doing. That's not mine. Or maybe Cat.
No, I mean, actually, that was a great ult. I just didn't know if it was ours or not.
Oh, well, the Moon Knight on their team also ulted.
Guys.
Right here.
Now you're chilling. I just needed the heals.
Keep fighting until we have a winner. That's 3. Wow, 4 in a row.
Vengeance is served.
Okay, guys. I don't even know what to tell you.
Oh no, YouTube Studio decided to close. Why did it decide to close? I'm just sitting here staring with the
I'm the fist of Khonshu, protecting
There we go.
overnight travelers.
No, my fucking VTube Studio on my phone closed, so my model stopped tracking other than my mouth.
Oh.
30 seconds before you attack. Get ready.
So I was just staring on stream. I don't know why it closed VTube Studio unless Zeph did it whenever.
They fear your touch.
Guys, I'm locking on my wood desk here, but
Or you're gonna find out why.
Cassie, me, and you are diffing the whole other team. Combined, by the way. Just
Who
throwing
were
that out there.
also the rest of our team.
Yeah,
We are carrying. Did they did we give it a pity match?
You guys are
Our
actually
gambit
here,
is
right?
our gambit's peaking.
Or am I imagining this?
Like this team up is great, dude. Whoever is always healing me, I love them because I can just dive without any worry.
Damn, girl.
Somebody get rid of
Girl,
that guy.
back it up.
We are undefeatable.
Oh, now they kill me. That's crazy.
Ooh, 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 ooh. Everybody.
See, I even not going wood, guys. Superstitions don't work.
Whee! Oh, it's an old Hulk too. All right, Grandpa, it's time to get you back to the retirement home.
Wait, what am I saying sorry for? That's the first 2 deaths I've ever had.
By being 25-0.
Okay, bro, that's because you're not a dive. I don't know what you're talking about.
A gift from Khonshu.
I mean, technically, Moon Knight can be played like a dive. However, I am not.
Do you see where our Daredevil's hiding, bro? What the fuck?
Yes.
Is he hiding?
He's
Look
up
at him,
top. He's right there.
Oh my god. He's like, I'll come down if I need to. Y'all got this. I'm on break.
I mean, that's what we do. I can't even blame the guy.
I can't even blame him either.
Stop hurting me, please.
This was Khonshu's will.
I mean, there's nothing to hate.
Yeah, he's just hanging out, waiting.
Doesn't make it go hide in a corner. It doesn't even need to come down.
How do you do that?
His ability where he can just run on walls, he can just sit there.
Oh my god, I onked the storm in her face.
Did you actually?
Yes, I popped up to do that. And
Where
she
did
would.
Cap go? I saw Cap go somewhere. I don't like it.
He's down here on bottom.
That's why I didn't like it.
I'm about to die, I'm about to die, I'm about to die. Fuck. That's my first death.
I mean, I just soloed a cap. I don't know what to tell you. I'm chilling on point and they're not pushing. Cassie, I love you sitting up there, actually. It's helping me so bad. You don't even understand, man. You don't even get it.
I just remembered Moon Knight has the fucking anchor thing.
Cassie sitting up there took their
Oh
eyes
my
off of me,
god.
and I got healed, bro. Holy.
Thank you very much.
Meep meep. Meep meep. Meep meep. Meep meep.
Okay,
Meep
this
meep.
alt was fucking useless.
Meep meep.
Okay.
Holy, bro.
After this match, you want to go for a quick little.
How did you get? Oh, you had 31 kills, of course.
Yeah.
Nerd.
Hey, I am not a nerd.
So close to level 4.
You're a sweat, say that much for sure.
I'm not a sweat.
Oh.
You just had 31 kills, man.
Because it's easy. I don't want to watch somebody's highlight. I don't want to do that. Why would I want to do that? Alright, Cassie,
My
are you
highlight sucks.
are you good? Do you need to?
We're do you want to go for a walk now, or do you want to go in a little bit? Or are you good? You want to go for a walk now, or are you good?
I'm shoot whenever you're ready.
We can go right now. The match just ended. I'll be right back. Just walk off dinner.
Alrighty.
I will be back though.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll be back.
You want to try comp? Since Cassie's.
In one game. One game.
I'll try Moon Knight for a comp game.
I'm definitely trying Rogue, bro. I'd say that much for sure. I don't understand how she's a 5-star though.
I don't understand either.
Like, who's the easiest killer to play by rank? Like, by.
Honestly, I think it's fucking Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch is the easiest in my opinion.
I don't doubt it. Angela's a 4-star, and I played her earlier, a couple of days ago. I played her with my friend.
Oh, there we go.
I mean, if there's already 2 tanks by the time we load in fully, I just won't play a tank.
I'm almost tempted to. I'm gonna wait and see, based on. You know, actually no. We're gonna do Moon Knight. I was gonna wait, but I also don't wanna like wait.
I'm not gonna take Rogue if somebody wants a Rogue. I'm trying to see if they're gonna choose or not.
I would lock in Rogue.
I'll take
Yeah.
the team up. I'll take the team up then, man. Now, only if we had a Magneto, bro. That's a full team up, bro.
Friends call me Mark, or Steven, or Jake.
30 seconds before you attack. Get ready.
Hehe.
I bet an army of squirrels would be fantastic. You can steal anything. Tell me more, shit.
Oh, but I wouldn't because I'm a hero and stealing
Tiger
is
Division has been planning a massive sting operation on the thieves.
That depends on what you're stealing and who you're stealing it from, Cher. On second
No.
thought, call me
I won't let you. Battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All you need to do is capture the mission area. Got it?
Oh god, the echo from Tanner.
Now I sort of wish
Oh,
I
my bad.
hadn't worn
No, you're
all
good.
white.
Me and Gambit were just sitting there, man, with the double up emote, man.
Thank you very much. The wounds are gone.
You don't think I won't push off rip? Come on now. We should know this by now, man.
Looks like the mission area is yours to capture now. The mission area is
I mean, it's ours, so. I was about to say, Magneto, when you were coming down here, man.
Rise and fall. A little pick me up.
Woohoo.
Ooh, I need to back up.
Love battlefield medicine.
I do too.
I just needed to for a second because I was getting too far deep. Yeah, I got too far deep again. I thought y'all had an angle to heal me then.
No.
Oh yeah, I was on the roof.
Thank you very much.
Well, Remy just waited for me, guys. Is his actual name Logan in the actual comics? Because I don't remember.
Who?
Gambit.
It's Remy LeBeau.
Okay.
All right, that feels better.
Wolverine is Logan.
Well, yeah, that's what I thought, but it said something about calling him Logan.
Might be a voice line about another character. Okay.
Come on
Come
now.
on, Khonshu. Let me rest.
The area's almost yours.
Sorry, I'm getting like... My mom is messaging me repeatedly, and I'm like, ugh, I'm midstream.
Rise and fall.
I would tell her you're mid-game, but I don't know if you're gonna do that.
Oh no, if I say that, it's just gonna be like, oh, well, I need you to do this. Nope.
I don't mean to sound like anything bad in a sense. I love that I have another tank, but our Groot has done nothing besides sit on point.
Rise and fall.
He's 0, 0, and 0. You see that, right? Oh, no, you're still
Yeah.
alive. Oh, damn.
I see it.
Khonshu, watch over me.
I'm fine with him doing whatever he wants to, though. As soon as we get point back.
Bonk, bonk.
Thank you very much. Revenge is sort of my
After this round, I'm probably gonna go grab my phone charger from by my bed and bring it over here so I can charge my phone. It shouldn't take me long, though.
Yeah, you're good. I'm gonna... After this match, I'm gonna, like, look at what she's wanting.
The power of the moon. The moon haunts you.
Crazy push, guys. You got a num-num there, buddy? Or are you just sitting in your ult? Oh, he moved? What the fuck?
Alright, that feels better.
I love that guy.
Yay.
Don't even know him, I already love him.
Khonshu has guided me this far. I trust him.
Yeah, I love you, Gambit.
1 second.
30 seconds before you attack. Get ready.
Hi, Jinx. Hi, buddy boy.
Heard a rumor you've been keeping tabs on Gambit. That true?
Oh, hi, Jinx.
Do you want to see what your husband has been up to when you're not looking?
No, I trust Remy
What
with
the hell
all
did he
my
just say?
heart. I just wanted you to be aware that you
It's like, okay, it's thank you, my friend, for in French.
4, 3,
I
2,
don't
That's
know
one
French,
of,
man.
it's one of Gambit's voice lines, too.
do is capture the mission area.
I'm more of a German guy.
I took a semester of French in college.
big fella puts a sentinel.
And you still remember it?
Not very much. Enough to translate basic shit like that.
Come on, guys. What are we doing?
gift from Khonshu.
My
You know
mom's
what we
like,
gotta do, man. We don't have time for this. We don't got time for this play around, man. Oh, I got stuck behind the wall. Sorry. Oh, you're doing better than me.
me?
I'm starting to think that guy is French. I can't even. I don't even know. What they
Gambit's from New Orleans and lore, so you probably just learned a phrase or two just to seem cool.
I know, but the guy playing him. I mean, I'm starting to think.
Ouch, I got solo ulted by a fucking Iron Man.
You actually?
Yes. He solo ulted my ass.
I'll be
Yeah,
disappointed if they're a no-show.
Fuck.
Control lost.
Rise and fall.
I've barely used my team up, low-key. I don't even know what it does.
Oh, I am getting
I'll wait
fucked.
for everybody to get here.
Yeah, we're getting.
Back again? Great.
I'm gonna target the fuck out of this Magneto, though. I was going to.
Rise and fall. Gambit never falls.
It's spider time!
I will solo all this spider. I swear to God, I will.
I almost did.
Well, look who's up to no good. Take
The moon haunts
past the halfway point.
and fall. What happened to a squirrel?
I will. Hold on, man.
I am getting my booty beat. Man, I just want the feet.
Watch over me.
I'm here for the VTuber feet.
On what?
No, just in general.
On who? What? On which one?
Needed that. Thanks.
I said just in general, Tanner. I'm here for the feet.
No, not you.
Oh.
Okay.
Rise and fall.
Other from Mac, you probably. Oh no, that was for science.
A little pick me up.
Huh?
Fighting until we have a winner.
We have 3 days to do it, and I'm already done with half of my slides, man.
Oh, Tanner's talking about school stuff.
Bruh, I have 2 more days to do it. I'm done with half of my slides.
The moon gives me strength.
Alright. Huh?
Huh?
For what?
30 seconds before you attack.
I told you I'm not. She just told you I was sick. Go on somewhere, bro. Alright, we'll have this conversation with you. Go on.
Working with petty thieves.
Who's the one being petty, home?
Oh, so when I'm sick, I still gotta go, huh?
Fighting the good fight.
Whatever. But I swear, LeBeau, if I find any of my
hasn't
weapons
helped
missing
once.
after this,
Simmer down, Spectre. I couldn't fence
The
those
battle
horses
starts in
Go
up.
on
5,
somewhere, bro.
4, 3, 2, 1. All you need to do is capture the mission area. Got it?
A planet of symbiotes is no place for a spider. Or a teenager, for that matter.
Yeah, let me get the whole school sick, why don't I? I'm sorry, guys.
Oh, you're good.
rise and fall.
I'm trying to see who I should go after first.
Needed that, thanks.
Probably not the Gambit. Where my healers did so great before. Now I get no heal.
Very much.
Double KO.
Get up. I'm not done.
If we start losing this point, I'm gonna switch. I don't know the who, but I'm gonna switch.
I'm hit.
Well done, my son.
I had to make sure my phone charged so I didn't die and lose stream, man.
A gift
Yeah.
from Khonshu.
Yeah. Oh, Cassie's back. Yay.
No.
We were in comp and getting our ass kicked.
No.
Well, before we were kicking ass. First
Yeah.
point, we smacked the shit out of them.
Oh, I can think straight. Thanks.
Oh, that's not Cassie. I gotta remember that's not Cassie.
Oh, I don't even think
It's on
she's not
top.
even in the game. How do you think it's her?
The Hella.
Oh,
That's the
okay,
first time I've heard Hell Unleashed this entire match. I kind of keep forgetting.
Some wonder.
Sorry, I just made.
Oh, okay. Hang out for a while then.
Guys, bro, I'm not even in front of the tree, man.
Then half of the mission area. Keep going.
Gambit never falls. Rise and fall.
Oh yeah. Vexy cooking. Cult leader is cooking.
Cult Mommy is cooking.
I didn't know if mommy was still the proper term.
Oh no, I don't care.
I thought we switched that.
I'm just... It's not my tagline anymore as a VTuber. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does.
Still okay. Still the meme.
Why are my healers not coming with me?
Because we're getting fucked back here.
By who?
Yes.
Oh, by everybody? Oh, okay. I wish I would have got that called out sooner.
I just got back from being dead, okay?
That call out definitely would have won us the game. No, I'm kidding.
There's still a good chance.
Come back from far worse than Khonshu is my shield.
I'm not trying to let us lose this one. If I have to switch, I will switch. I'm not that type of guy.
Thank you very much.
Dude. Did all my healers die?
Yes, they got swallowed by Jeff. And
How you expect me to get Iron Man if he's flying, brother? Oh, you said somebody. Okay. If I die one more time and I don't have any heals for it, I will gladly switch. I'm waiting for my healers. Okay, I guess
ouchie.
it's not gonna happen.
You know what?
I think you died.
I did die.
I've made my share of mistakes.
Still not there. I didn't know if you
I'm
knew.
fighting every day to make amends.
Okay.
Be right there.
I guess.
Control.
I didn't have a choice.
Maximum pulse.
And we didn't get there.
I tried. I swapped
No,
to Scarlet Witch at the last second. That was a good match.
Well, you can't expect to win.
Yeah, who's that guy? I forgot his name. I watched Venom.
That's
the last
Null.
days. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Alright, let's call some Mingo stealth.
I still haven't had it. I still haven't got bingo.
Da, 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 da.
I'm about to start calling things for myself.
Hey.
I won't do that. I promise.
Into...
Not yet, at least. I haven't been a
Creamy
mod for that
peanut
long.
butter.
Is the best peanut butter.
He just joined in to say that.
Yes.
Crazy.
It's much like
My
Mega and
project-
Penis.
My projected rank is bronze 3, guys. That's not good.
Yeah, it is not good. Alright. Cassie,
Yeah.
you ready to join back?
Yeah.
Better than Crunchy? You right nice.
I ain't even, bro. I haven't seen anybody active in chat like that. I didn't even know Nice was still there, man. I ain't gonna lie.
Nice just said it.
I know. I didn't know he was there before.
It's getting that time of the night. There's a chat. Yeah, that's definitely how it is, Zeph. I didn't have to join and say that randomly. Yeah, you didn't, but you did.
You'll need a top-notch team to win this.
Zeph's waking people up.
Cloudless night,
Oh,
just like the moon.
they got your rogue.
Oh, you're a hoe. They're probably a team though.
Well,
You know what? I hope you stub your toe and you can't get back up from it. You
hi, Zeph. Zeph smells.
guys.
Oh, I'm
Why are
being
we making
licked.
you play
Peanut butter.
I'm bald. Cassie! My wig has been snatched, and I'm bald.
30 seconds.
What do you say about the world?
Causing so much mayhem.
Stand back.
Oh, it didn't even trigger the green. Well, that's rude.
I have to like refresh your stream.
Yeah, it's at that point of the night that like Twitch is starting. Hello, Raiders. Oh my!
Oh,
The battle starts in 5.
There's a brand new raid alert. I gotta adjust it a little bit. But hello,
All you need to do is capture the mission area.
you guys were doing some Skyrim. How was that? Are you going Stormcloak or Imperial? But welcome in. We are getting our booties beaten Marvel Rivals.
I'm trying to play healer, guys. Can somebody please take me off of healer?
Hi, Luna. That was horrifying. They were just waiting for us.
Yeah, that's how it goes. Stormcloak, of course. Heck yeah.
Please, can somebody else play healer?
No, Tanner. You gotta learn.
Okay, I'm playing White Fox then.
Luna might be
Ow.
something you actually enjoy.
Ow! Ow! He's attacking me.
Love battlefield medicine.
Damage sustained.
Himmy, John, Jimmy.
Yeah, too. You know, I've never played this character. I don't know how to play it.
Oh, it's Spider-Man. I'm running away. I'm sorry. He scares me.
Spider-Man himself is scary.
Oh my.
Played Rivals since November. I very much so enjoy it. I am a Rivals nerd. Somebody new? Yes. They try to add one each season.
He got me. Oh, it's dead? No? I don't know who the fuck it was. I just know I died.
Whew,
Don't
we
worry
got
about it,
point.
Dr. Riven.
Alright, just joining in real quick to go ahead and say this. You are definitely a big nerd when it comes to Marvel Rivals.
I am. But,
But no, but when I
you know
call
what?
that's an issue.
Yeah, it's not a problem.
Husband.
I guess Zeph is just special, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Zeph's about the only person that can... I love that message. What the fuck? Heal mommy, she's hurt.
Spider-Man's back. He's back. He's back. Please make it stop.
He's back.
Oh, I got him.
Back again.
Back again.
Shady's
Fuck your
back.
friend. No, Venom. I died.
That's my Pookie Venom.
Dude, they do not like me. Am I that good of a DPS?
Apparently, though.
They're scared. Whee!
Ow.
Alright, you little fucking weenie hut
I'm
juniors.
solo ulting the fucking Spider-Man. Wonder if stream got ahead now. Yeah, go ahead and run. Take care of yourself. Thank you for bringing your community over. I will take good care of them. They will not be sacrificed this time.
I might. Whee!
I love how I promise the new folks are only sacrificed after their first stream.
You want me to do something very specific?
Aw. Thank God.
I'm gonna do it anyway.
Sacrifices
It'll
may
be
be made to Krypton.
I did it wrong. I did it wrong, guys. I did it wrong. Oh, I didn't. Yes, I did. I don't care anymore. Doesn't matter. I forgot to put the space. My fault, guys. You're
Ah.
online. I don't know how to work this fucking commands anymore.
Ziv, why are you shouting out again? The bot did it first.
No, I didn't. I didn't see it. I didn't see it.
I said the
Okay, I didn't
bot. The bot did it. I made it to the mods.
Simpsons did it.
It was Zeph that did it though.
Oh, what? Zeph, you beat me to the punch every time, dude.
Yeah, because he no life's being a mod.
Then
He
he get
got-
on mid game.
Yeah, we are mid game.
Battlefield medicine.
Holy. My bad, Zeph.
Oh, I didn't even. Oh, technically you did beat Luna to it. Oh, not Luna. Zeph
did,
to
but I
it.
forgot the space.
Yeah, you forgot the space.
Worse than that.
Forgot the most
Damn.
important part. I suck.
Oh, Jesus.
Just a little bit.
Where'd he go?
Wait,
Still back
because
over
Luna
here
rated,
being
that means I
east.
get 2 extra animated emote slots.
Yes.
Because I do the Twitch alerts thing to set mine up.
Love battlefield medicine.
Can't believe I forgot the space.
Get fricked.
The moon haunts you.
I may or may not have just solo ulted their cloak and dagger.
Very much.
At this point, man, do you? I don't care who you solo ult, as long as you're winning this game, man.
I know that all.
No, bring him back this way. I can't hit him through the fucking tower.
What did I just do?
Dude, the Spider-Man thingy has it out for me.
I also got fucked.
Oh, thank goodness.
Guess Gonshu's got my back after all.
This is a difficult shit round.
Oh,
Thank you very much.
we're like inches away from killing each other, but he got the best of me.
Okay, my internet lagged like a motherfucker. I ain't gonna lie.
Don't blame your downfalls on the internet. We all have
No,
shit
like
internet.
I was stuck in the thing.
Oh, pick up this
What is this girl doing?
a gift from Gonshu.
Whee!
No, no,
Ow,
no,
ow,
no.
ow, 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 ow.
Fly, fly away.
Woo-hoo-hoo.
Almost didn't make it.
Like, cause it said an error had occurred on your stream and it like kicked me out. So
Shit.
I was wondering what was going on.
Can I get some heals again? But thank you.
Rise and fall.
Leave me alone. Ooh, they are chasing me.
Oh, what am I doing?
Vengeance is mine.
I'm not taking it all.
Wee-hee.
Can you please? Oh no.
The moon haunts you.
Good stuff, dude.
Leave me alone.
A gift from Gonshu.
I play Genji, brother. I know how to aim.
Only 60 seconds left.
Needed that, thanks.
These guys know how to play, dude.
They really do.
We're sweating and quick like this.
Oh! No! Stop touching me! That's my no-no square.
Gift from Gonshu.
Whew. Get rid of the Spider-Man.
Only one of
Goodbye.
us gets to play with Gonshu's toys.
He's dying in real life and in game.
At this point, bro, I guess.
That's my Pookie. I died for my Pookie.
Ooh, ooh.
I tried.
You got it. It's fine.
Back again.
Did you die? Or did you live?
No. I lived.
Then my job was complete.
It's the grand finale.
God. That
Damn.
was...
Well, you can't expect to win them all.
That was
crazy.
crazy.
That was insane. You smelly little bitch! I hate you, Spider-Man!
Hi, hey, Spider-Man.
How much
I
longer
need
are you gonna be streaming?
about one more match, but I can still play longer. Why?
Oh no, I was just asking.
I try to do 3 hours.
No, you're chilling. Cause I was about to go
Just
hop on
get it.
2K for a bit and then hop back on. If that's okay with you, of course.
Yeah, that's
I was
okay.
gonna hop on
You
the
should
game
just
a
stay
little
for
bit.
one more, because I'm probably gonna hop off after this one.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, I
same.
guess I am. Hold on. Oh, you can join us in one. I'm chilling in one. It said I had to reconnect or something.
Well, apparently you're still in the team, so.
Yeah, it was something because
Oh.
the internet spiked or something lag. I don't know what it was.
Oh, I want that little bat guy. Oh, he's so cute.
That is literally a demon.
Wait, what little bat guy?
Oh, in like one of the cutscenes. Yeah, that one.
That is a whole ass demon.
Just like the moon.
Yeah, it's a cute demon.
Can I have? Oh yes, yes. Please,
Did you hear
Doctor
that?
Strange, please.
What the fuck was that? Be careful, please. Was that outside?
Use your registered firearm.
We do have one.
Get the pew
We
pew.
got pew pews. No, just husband went to go look at it, so.
Did he grab the pew pew?
He might.
I'm the fist of
That would just have a pocket knife like I always have.
travelers.
Oh, we got a shit ton of knives, dude.
Dude, my pocket knife is basically just a fucking dagger at this point. Like.
Whoa, oh!
Oh yeah.
As long as one of my fingers.
The gravity.
I just did that right now, and I thought I was gonna die, dude. Lee Harvey.
The battle starts in 5.
You just now realized that?
Pookie! Pookie!
Sabby and Kiki fighting?
You are safe with us, Herbie. You don't know me.
Oh god. I knocked it over. Is he okay? Poor kitty. Sabby knocked over the laundry basket and hit his head.
No, poor baby.
Love battlefield medicine.
I get murdered.
God, we got all of them.
He's right there!
He's just waiting. Hi, buddy.
Isn't that our Adam?
No, we don't have an Adam.
Oh, that guy's weird.
They're gonna flank us. Yeah, they're gonna try to.
No one asked for your opinion, robot. Especially Khonshu.
No way he can deflect melee too. Where you're not plastic, man.
Oh! Oh, you little brat.
God, bro.
A gift from Khonshu.
Ooh, ooh, I'm backing up, Whee! Oh shit.
I'm starting to think it might not be the sickness. I'm starting to think it might actually be fucking popcorn lung at this point.
He got some.
Damn!
From far worse than
Stop touching me.
Everybody needs a hand sometimes. Or a dagger.
Good job, Darkborn.
Thank you very much.
Oh, she's here. Big Mommy's here.
And she's gone.
All right, that feels better.
It's gonna mean I have to quit.
Pony Star. No, it looks like he's humping the rock. I'm sorry.
That looks like Tony Stark on a daily basis.
I'll give Richard's plan a chance for now. A gift from Khonshu.
Oh, that was a solo ult. Oh, damn
Beep,
it.
beep.
Hee hee.
Beep, beep. Tee.
Ow.
Rise and fall.
Beep, beep. I like this little cart. Beep beep.
Love battlefield medicine.
My weakness. Watch me soar. The vehicle reached a checkpoint. Keep up the momentum.
Vengeance is mine.
Beep beep. I'm
Beep,
gonna
beep.
keep
I'll
saying
give
beep beep.
Richard's plan a chance for now.
Beep beep.
Rise and fall.
I got scared because I was like, ah, it's Venom. He's gonna kill us. It's he's on our team.
They have a Venom too, before you get too comfy. Their Angela turned into a Venom.
It's just gonna hurt when I pass through it.
Mine, no. If it's blue, it's generally safe.
Okay.
You may.
Beep. Coming through. Damn. Beep beep. We're here.
We arrived. You arrived, did you?
That was very quick.
That was a very good match to end on. Even if I didn't get MVP.
Who got MVP? Oh.
The Psylocke.
I like that intro. I like that outro though.
The MVP, yeah, that is very pretty. Alright, I'm gonna raid out.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me find somebody to raid out to. In the meantime, we've got our very lovely, very pretty raid message. If I pop out the raid browser.
Oh yeah, I do need to learn how to do that little pop-up thing where I could not just be an empty space, empty face talking the whole time. I can learn that later though.
Yeah. Let's see.
Whenever you have the free time, man. I will never complain. Give me 1 second though.
Okay. Da, da, da. Here, let's raid to this person because they look very sweet. But anyways, guys, have a good night. Thank you for being here.
Team.
Bye, chat. Bye. Be good. Don't be weird.